Hey there, my lovelies. Come on in. Welcome to the Holy Shed. And you know what week it is, don't you? Yes, it is week 104. And I've got cards here. 2 whole years now since we started all of this stuff. Look at this one. It's even got a picture of the bishop, the area bishop, looking a little bit ruffled, really. And this one, it's got lots of things in it. Look, see that? To our dearest Dave and Pat, blessings released through the shed cause windows to open in darkness, darkened minds. Holy Shed is the voice of sanity and common sense in a dark and crazy world. Words like grace, illumination, belonging, growth, freedom, all belong in the thanks and praise toward the holiness of the Holy Shed, he says. This is from Bill and Eve, by the way, our lovely friends up in Scotland. It says, I come to the shed to know that I'm not alone in the wilderness of my exile. Holy Shed has become my home. Thanks a million. Kisses deep, Bill and Eve. So that's lovely, isn't it? And they actually sent us some other things too, I can tell you. Like, look at this. Beautiful little stone. There's a bit of a theme here of the bishop that is on this lovely stone. It says L'chaim, and to go with the L'chaim, look what else came, a bottle of gorgeous whiskey. So haven't had that one before, but I shall be trying it today. Now, of course, you know how all of this happened, don't you? No one planned the Holy Shed. Do you remember last week when I talked about St Ethelburgers in the city of London, and how when the IRA bombed St Ethelburgers in 1993, they inadvertently became midwives to bring St Ethelburgers back to life again, to bring it to birth, no longer as a church, but as a thriving centre for reconciliation and peace. Well, in a not dissimilar way, you could say that the coronavirus gave birth to this. I'm not saying the virus was a good thing any more than the IRA bombing St Ethelburgers was a good thing. Of course not. But the Holy Shed, is just one tiny glimmer of many silver linings to appear behind the very dark cloud of all that has happened over the past couple of years. And God knows it's been a very dark cloud, and another different dark cloud hangs over us right now. But here we are. And what's very clear from the things that you tell me is that the Holy Shed isn't just me spouting in my shed at the bottom of the garden. No, it's a wonderfully, bizarre but wonderful community which may never be gathered all in one room, and yet is a community all the same, a community of hope and vision, housing a different approach to God and faith, to the approaches and understandings that many of us have been used to, and in some instances oppressed by. But anyway, look, before we go any further, you know what we've got to do. We've got to pause to light a candle. If you've got one handy, this is the moment to get it. We're going to pause to acknowledge what is happening in the world right now, and hold in our hearts thoughts about the situation in Ukraine. Pray or wish or whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. But basically, send out love, send out vibes of love and hope, and some defiant imagination in the face of despair. So let's light a candle, and I've put our Serenity Prayer today together with the Ukrainian flag. I'm not going to say it, we're just going to be quiet for a few moments, and you can use the words to pray it yourself if you wish. Oh, those dear people in Ukraine, and please, British government, get your act together. Let these people get in here as soon as possible. They've been traumatised enough, haven't they? Not a political speech? Well, it is a political speech. So anyway, today is a bit different because most of this time will be devoted to listening to a bit of what you have to say, and eaten some cake. But I'll get to that in a moment. First, the title that I put on today, or as a subtitle at least, is Godology, the art of divine imagination. I'm sure you know that theology is just that, really. Theo, God, ology. Theology is the study of God, though you wouldn't always think so. But here's the thing that I've observed for a long time now, and it's obvious, but not always noticed. It is that the kind of religion that we have depends on the kind of God that we have. As I say, obvious, but often not quite noticed. Whether our God is angry, bullying, judgmental, tribal, vengeful, nitpicking on the one hand, or loving, compassionate, kind, liberating, peacemaking, or whatever on the other. It all depends on which sort of God we have been introduced to, and that we've spend our time with internally, as it were. Everything depends on the God that we have. When I'm counseling someone who's struggling in some way, often what I try to find out is what sort of God they have. I mean, I won't necessarily ask that question outright, because they'll just give me what they think is the right answer. I'm more interested in listening at a deeper level. I'm interested in which God is embedded in their subconsciousness. That's what I'm listening for, because many people's problems stem from their emotional and psychological notions of God. And this, of course, is what the Holy Shed is all about, isn't it? Godology, trying to find the God of healing, of liberation and love that I think the world needs so much, and yet often isn't the God that people have in their minds when that word God is used, which is why in some ways I agree with those who say it'd be good if we could dump the word God. It's so laden with unhelpful presuppositions, but I guess that's a bit unrealistic. So we just have to work at making it mean something different. When I listen to like right-wing fundamentalists or homophobes in the name of God, that must be an organization somewhere, or send them all to hell preachers or guilt merchants, then I know that I can't possibly believe in that God. I would gladly dispatch that God to hell, to be honest, because of the torment that people often suffer through that. A while back, I took the wedding of two beautiful people, and I ended with the blessing that I mostly use here in the shed. The one, the blessing of God, the eternal goodwill of God, the shalom and salam of God. Well, afterwards, a man approached me and said, "I thought this was a Christian wedding. Why did you keep mentioning other religions?" For whatever reason, it seemed to trouble him that I used those words. Although another man also spoke to me after the same service, but he told me that he was a Jewish person and that he'd never been in any church before in his life. And so he said he was surprised and delighted to hear his faith referenced in such a positive way, with the word shalom. My response to both men was the same. First and foremost, we're not Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, atheists. Firstly, we are fellow human beings. That is the big message of the Holy Shed, isn't it? Firstly is the common humanity that we share. And if God isn't the God of the whole of that, the whole world, then I, for one, am not interested. I'll just go away and do something else. There's lots of interesting things to do in the world. I don't want a tribal deity. I want the God of the universe, or nothing. In my view, going forth in the 21st century, and especially in light of what's happening, what has happened and what is happening right now, I think it's vital for the future of our planet that we find a way to live together in mutual respect, for us to find ways to, confidently affirm our own tradition, say this is me, but also transcend it and respect the traditions of others instead of being patronizing, or trying to change them to our way of seeing things. From outer space, I reckon it all appears pretty obvious, I mean, listen to what astronauts who have gazed at planet Earth from outside what they have to say, and they almost invariably say something like that we are a single planetary community, and that's what they immediately sense looking back on this beautiful planet. From out there, no divisions can be seen. Together with every other species, we are firstly earthlings, blessed inhabitants of this beautiful, iridescent, verdant, fragile planet. I don't for a moment think that all faiths should amalgamate into some pea soup, into some lowest common religious denomination, any more than I think that that all bird species should become one generic feathered creature, or all artists should express themselves in a single creative style, or all ethnicities should be reduced to a solitary cultural norm. What horrifying thoughts all of those are. I am a Christian, actually a follower of Jesus, really. And I'm not ashamed or embarrassed by this, but I can't imagine my faith as anything other than a frail and limited, though glorious, means of comprehending and knowing that which defies all comprehension, the mystery of the universe. The pursuit of God must always be a path, I think, of constant deconstruction of our notions and categories to define the divine. Without which, without that deconstruction, I think we'll worship idols of our own making. In his prayer/poem, Footnote to All Prayers, C.S. Lewis states, all men, he used the generic term, the male term there, but never mind, all men are idolaters, crying unheard to a deaf idol, if thou take them at their word. Take not, O Lord, our literal sense. Lord, in thy great unbroken speech, our limping metaphor translate. Marvellous. In other words, all God talk is deceptive and misleading if we treat it as literally true. God cannot be contained in words, ideas, or human imagination. Interestingly, the Islamic proclamation, Allah Akbar, doesn't simply mean God is great. It literally says God is greater. I like that. God is always greater. But of this one thing I am certain, that love must always be at the heart of any faith, of any notion of God. God is love, and those who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. That's in the Bible. And I'd pretty happily make that my creed, actually. Thank you very much. God is love, and those who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. Finito. That'll do for me. Faith is basically Godology, the art of divine imagination. Well, I've told you what I imagine. How about you? What kind of God do you imagine? Now, I'm very happy, to carry on theologizing, listening to other people's ideas and experiences, arguing, debating, sharing, and then listening some more. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep on searching the holy books, exploring the vast sea of interpretations of our own scriptures. I love doing that. But in the end, please, 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 nobody tell me that God is anything less than boundless and universal love, accessible to all, inclusive of all, redeeming all our stupidity and nonsense. That's God for me. So look, I asked you to say what the Holy Shed means to you. And some of you wrote stuff down. And look, I know others would say the same kind of things. And if I have, by any chance, missed out, because I'm not the most meticulous of people, if I've missed out somebody's comments or they came a little bit late, please forgive me, because many more people could have said very similar things to what I've put together here. So I've made them into a little presentation with music by Moby, appropriately called Homeward Angel. And, some sent a line, others sent quite a lot of lines. And I've done my best, So it's just over 15 minutes long. So that's going to be the next bit of the Holy Shed today. If you're listening to this by audio, the rest of it may not make much sense, but you might enjoy the music. And don't panic, because although sometimes there's quite a lot of words on the screen, there should be time for everything to be read. So, enjoy this. You can go and see her. All right, sweetheart. same one we did that picture, I think. Okay. Which? No, that's the time. Alright, Louis. See you in the morning, eh? Cheers. Thanks for your help, love. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, everyone who contributed to that. I mean, putting it together made me cry, to be honest, especially, the memories back to the darker and more difficult days of lockdown, and how important it was to feel that we had links beyond our little cells that we were in. So absolutely wonderful. And the picture at the end by Deb, that final picture of the light in the darkness, does my head in. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. So we're going to have a prayer now. Storytelling God, who spun the great yarn of the cosmos, thank you for weaving our tiny threads into the drama of creation, alongside prophets and wise ones, musicians and artists, elephants, kittens, bonobos and weeping willows. Thank you for mysteries in life that none can decipher, for the never-ending adventure of reading between lines and wondering what would happen if. Today we celebrate the gift of the Holy Shed. Thank you for a diverse community of hope, born from the devastating trauma of lockdowns, overloaded hospitals, fear, sickness and bereavement. We are grateful for the hope and strength this little house has brought through hard times. May it continue to do so, whatever the future holds. Amen. Well, we've come to cake cutting time, guys. So if you've got some cake, get ready now. And I want to just show you, because it was a bit difficult to do this as a kind of live thing, but a little earlier, Lizzie, our daughter, and a founder member of the Holy Shed, did a little film of me and Pat lighting candles and cooking the cake. Enjoy this.
3, 2, 1.
So here we are, Pat. I think that we've done this before, haven't we, really? Cut a cake. That was a long time ago. Way! Jeez. Let's go with a fizz. Happy birthday, Holy Shed. What is all that stuff got on the cake?
Maybe some time.
Oh dear, it's going on and on and on. How fireworks don't go for this long? They just burn out.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So, I don't know who cut a cake. The first time we cut a cake, a long time ago, but it's over to you. You're better than me.
There we are. What did you say about that?
I said that's quite a big chunk, don't you? Lovely. Well, I'll be eating that in a moment or two. But that, dear friends, is the cutting of the cake. Happy birthday, Holy Shed. And here it is. Here is said piece of cake, untouched. See how restrained I am? So if you got some cake, have an eat now. I mean, you must know. You must know that eating on camera is not a good look. So I'll finish that later. But it's also a moment for a little bottle opening too. So we're going to toast life in just a moment. If you have something handy to do that with, then grab it now. Oh, and I want to show you this. It was another thing that our friends Bill and Eve sent, was this, which is actually one of my favourite sort of painting kind of icons, really. It was painted by an Indian painter, which, you know, shows Jesus in that sort of style, really. And it's called The First Supper, because what he was saying was, you know, if there was a Last Supper, there must have been a lot of others as well. And I like it because, and I think this is what Bill and Eve are saying, it's a very L'chaim looking picture, isn't it? So this is our Holy Shed Communion, the Eucharist of the Holy Shed. To life, L'chaim. Gosh, that's rather nice. Very, very good. Now, I think that I just wanted to mention to you, well, you've seen the shirt here, haven't you? You can get one of these t-shirts. There is a link on the Holy Shed Facebook page. A number of people have said the link doesn't work, and you're right. And that's a problem, apparently, with Facebook, which the company can't do anything about. But if you cut and paste that link and put it into your browser, it will take you to the company straight away, and you can get this. It's going to be available for another couple of weeks on their site. So if you fancy that, there you go. The only other things that I wanted to say really was that in terms of the future, I am finally getting this podcast thing together now with the help of Lizzie and our friend Rob and a couple of other people. There is actually a podcast available on iTunes, which at the moment doesn't have much on it, but you can find their week 100 is available, and others will be put up there soon, because I know lots and lots of people can't find the time to sit and watch on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, like, you know, like probably you're doing right now, but want to listen while they're riding their bike or going to work or doing the ironing or whatever. So, you know, an audio version will be available in the next couple of weeks, and that'd be great. And the other thing I just wanted to say, by way of a sort of birthday kind of piece of business really, is if you use the YouTube version, would you please subscribe to the Holy Shed, or to my Holy Shed YouTube page, because when those numbers go up, I don't know what the magical figure is, but you reach a point where YouTube then, you know, put you really up at the higher up the sort of list when people Google, and they find it easier. So if you can subscribe to YouTube, that would be great. And if you do a like on the Holy Shed Facebook page, again, that's really good. So fantastic. There were a couple of things that sort of came into me a little bit late for me to use in the presentation that I did just earlier. I noticed on YouTube I don't know, it was one of the much earlier YouTube weeks, that Bob Woolbright made a comment, and he said, "This was a powerful video. I wish I could see Jesus the way you do. But it is really difficult for me. I spent 50 years with the Jesus of hardcore evangelical Christianity, and that ruined Jesus for me and left me an atheist. Now I wish I could walk away from that and follow Jesus the way you do, but it feels like an impossible task to shed the Jesus I grew up with and once believed in, and the atheism that created." Well, Bob, my heart just went out when I read that. You know, the thing is, these words, Christian, atheist, they're just labels. You know, they're meaningless. It's who we are as people that matters. And it sounds like, you know, in your own life, you are following that Jesus. So take heart. There was also one from Nick. I've just pulled it up here on the screen, who says, "I've no big story about how I found the Holy Shed. I'm just another lapsed Catholic. I was a churchgoer and went to Catholic school from age 5 to 18. I've worked as a teacher for the last 25 years, in which time my faith dwindled away, but then returned. I can't remember a point that it did return, but I do know an important moment was listening to you being interviewed on Radio 2's Good Morning Sunday programme. about your Bad Christian book. I subsequently went to buy a copy and the 2 books that came after. These books just made sense to me. The Holy Shed is the first weekly service I have attended since I was 17, although I tend to listen in the car after the broadcast when I have a solo journey. I can look back at the photos and pictures at the end of the journey. Being Catholic has always been part of my identity, although tightly linked with my Irish heritage. Although I, despite being a Francis fan, still have issues with the church. I think that's what he's saying. So great, Nick, and so many other people who get in touch with me, from time to time. It's great to hear from you. So look, if you like what we're doing here at the Holy Shed, you can support us by buying us a coffee or a whiskey or whatever, by using this coffee site. It's very easy to do. You just go there and you choose, whether you want to give us, £3 for a coffee or whatever. And so many people, give to us through this way. And I'm just so deeply, deeply grateful for each and every one of you, because that's all part of what helps this whole thing to keep going. And so thank you very much indeed. So we're going to finish with a blessing. And guess which one? The blessing of God, the eternal goodwill of God, the shalom and salam of God, the wildness and warmth of God be among us and between us, now and always. Amen. Okay, well, I am going to finish in just a moment, I think, with a song, because churches have hymns, don't they? And one of the great hymn writers, favourite hymn here in the Holy Shed, is by Frank Turner, who calls himself an atheist. And the song is called Be More Kind, and I love it to bits. Played it before, but as I say, you sing hymns over and over, don't you? So why not? So there it goes, guys. Thank you for being part of this little birthday celebration today. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and let's go forward together, hey. I'm excited about what we're going to do in the rest of Lent. As I said last week, I hope to introduce you afresh to the Apostle Paul. Not a favourite among progressively minded Christians or people, but I think there's more to be said for him. So all that I'm saying is give Paul a chance. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So enjoy this lovely song.
This is the title song from the new album. This song's called Be More Kind, and it goes like this. History's been leaning on me lately. I can feel the future breathing down my neck. And all the things I thought were true when I was young and you were too, turned out to be broken. And I don't know what comes next in a world that has decided that it's going to lose its mind. Be more kind, my friends. Try to be more kind. And everywhere I look, they're raising walls now, like hackles raised upon a cornered cat. On the borders in our heads between the things that can and can't be said, they've stopped talking to each other, and there's something wrong with that. So before you go out searching, don't decide what you will find. Be more kind, my friends. Try to be more kind. And you should know you're not alone. And trouble comes trouble goes, and how this ends, no one knows. So hold on tight when the wind blows. The wind blew both of us to sand and sea, and where the dry land stands is hard to say. As the current drags us by the shore, we can no longer say for sure who's drowning or if they can be saved. But when you're out there floundering like a lighthouse, I will shine. Be more kind, my friends. Try to be more kind. Like a beacon reaching out to you and yours, from me and mine. Be more kind, my friends. Try to be more kind. In a world that has decided that it's going to lose its mind, be more kind, my friends. Try to be more kind. Thank you so much. Cheers.